for the first with the defection of horse 5 Rainbow Dash, who won at Matamata in early January. Moraki $3, $3.60 for Sherwood Forest, $3.80 for Patch Prince. What's the money telling you, Stephen Hunt?
There's been 2 or 3 that I've specced in the juvenile race over the 1200 metres, Jason. Number 2, Moraki, well supported. Nice little platform going into this particular race on the back of 2 trial wins. You'd think Jason Waddell from Barrier 1 will hold a position, if not lead, sit outside the lead. So that's been well supported early doors at $3, off a peak of $4. Notably, the scratching of Rainbow Dash came out this morning, so there is deductions going to this particular race. Sherwood Forest in that second line of betting, $3.60. Would have seen a little bit more money coming from the Tony Pike stable, potentially a drifter later on this afternoon. Patch Prince, very well supported. Look, got supported on debut a few weeks back. Back left-handed, I think, is the key, and is giving the green light once again for punters. Did show good trial form left-handed at Cambridge, etc. So $3.80 potentially that could slot into that second line of betting come close. A little bit of specking for one of the fillies and Shake the Tush at $8 off a peak of 10. And also maybe a show-off, well supported. You can go back on at CV. It's one horse that has bet proper bill this campaign on this track. Maybe a show-off, currently a losing result at 13s. But best backed has been the debutant by our rocker, Moraki, at $3.
Race 1 speed map for 2-year-olds, not easy. It's the Tiako Racing 3 times Karaka million winners. What a record that is. So I agree with you with regards to Moraki. Given what we've seen, Brendan Popwell of the trials, Moraki would have to be amongst the leaders with maybe a show-off, you'd think?
You'd think so, wouldn't you, Jason? I mean, this horse was able to show really good tempo at the trials, was pushed forward by jockey Michael Coleman to be able to find that lead position, and then kicked on strongly as well when asked a question. Look, certainly Harlow was good, Bevan late as well, who got back in the trial and was able to finish on into second position.
Yeah, it was a nice performance. I think this horse did loaf maybe halfway down, so it's still a little bit green, but it showed a lot of ability. Killen's a fair horse, and Harlow coming from back in the race here. Look, I agree with the speed map. I think maybe a show-off will probably try and get the lead, and if this horse can take a sit, then it'll be in the perfect position to strike with Shake that Tush to probably go up and sit on the outside. Hard to get away from this horse. Race day experience is a big key though, and I thought there was a couple of hints of greenness in that particular trial, but money's pretty strong and Denisa can set them up early.
Yeah, blinkers on for maybe a show-off, you know, as Stephen pointed out, and as we all know, that the horse did beat proper Beal. Patch Prince, you know, look, I know this horse has been given a pretty decent rap. I thought he put in a good sprint for about 200 metres at Tauranga, maybe back left-handed, a better draw. I'm happy to give him another chance because he has had that race day experience.
Yeah, well, I think, as we always mention in these two-year-old races, it is key. And when horses come to the race with the reputation and they perform like that, you'd expect a lot of improvement from that one run. So with that one experience out on the racetrack, I think the horse has got enough gate speed from there to probably posse up. I know it missed away from 8 in its first two-year-old race, but the experience, the run through the gates, a bit of crowd around it prior to that particular race. I think it'll probably jump better today with that start under the belt. And I've certainly got it in the mix, Patch Prince.
Yep, all right, which way did you go in the end?
Well, I went with the 2. I'm just going to go with the spruik on this particular horse. It's not a real investment race for me. I thought Patch Prince was at some reasonable sort of value for you. I didn't mind what Sherwood Forest did at the trials. You know, when 2-year-olds can sit back and maybe get held up for a run at the top of the straight and work through the field and get up and win, I think that is a sort of horse that's probably going to make a bit of 3-year-old, but still had a bit of ring crafter for a 2-year-old. And outside of that, didn't mind Shake that Tush at its most recent run behind Rainbow Dash, so I put that in the mix, but I stayed with a bit of trial form here.
Yep, I went with Patch Prince in the end, Jason. I thought maybe with a better barrier draw, the horse was ridden neutral around Tauranga. Maybe today they can put the horse in the race. Has looked good through trials, has a son of Exceed and Excel, so I went 4, 2, 3 and 1 in the first.
And it is worth noting, with regards to Moaraki, you would have seen the horse trial in side winkers or cheek pieces. It's on debut today, so it doesn't come up as a gear change, but the horse will be wearing side winkers for his debut. Okay, race number 2. This is how the market stacks up with demonetisation, the $2.50 favourite. Aidan Rodley's best of the program from the first call yesterday. It's the CK Treeworks Premier. Is the weight of money saying that $2.50 is right, Stephen Hunt?
No shorter than $2.50. There's plenty of money opposing demonetisation, even though they got buckets full when it resumed 2 stone lighter a few weeks ago, back into January, on its home track. Demonetisation, Jason Waddell doing the riding, $2.50. There is potential it could spec a little bit longer later on this afternoon. Like I mentioned, there's 4 or 5 they have spec'd, including, how about that, $6.50 off a peak at $8. Good money there, including a $500 bet at the opening line at $8. Camino Rocoso, $7, got out to 8, just bought back into 7, well supported this morning, in particular around Camino Rocoso. And just amazed, back to the mile, its best ratings have been over 1,600 metres, even though this preparation they've gone over ground with this individual. Opened at $10, got as short as $8, currently a losing result. And Starry Beal, $4.40 opening, drifted to $5.50. Just trying to lay this horse, Jason, today, back to the mile, blinkers off on this individual. Just trying to work out a right lay price. But all in all, Demonetisation, $2.50, well supported, but they are speccing a few to beat it.
If you knew the map of this race and the overall tempo, you'd be very keen on it, but it's quite variable. Camino Rocoso and Demonetisation, the runners that have been earmarked to go forward. How did you read it, BP?
I thought maybe how about that? Could be a play here and going forward. Jason goes to 1,600 metres with a good gate. Jonathan Riddell, he's riding well at the moment as Jonathan. So I thought if he finds that position, he becomes a bit of a player in the races. How about that? Look, interesting race, isn't it, Bevan, with these 2 horses at the top of the book who are out of their rating bracket. That means they have to carry the weight. Camino Rocoso and Demonetisation.
Just thought there was a real opportunity in this particular race for someone to take the initiative in the jockeys' ranks, because Demonetisation, I'm not sure will want to lead. Maybe it'll sit up on the outside of How About That. But I thought there was also opportunities for someone who was drawn out to go forward and take up the lead and probably control tempo. Demonetisation, this is the run after being gelded, and there was a few hints there that the horse is getting back to its best, but hasn't been anything like the horse we saw early on. So I'm hopefully returns to his best, and if he does, this race does look as though it is his to be losing. Demonetisation. But yeah, I found it a really messy speed map. I ended up with How About Dat leading and Demonetisation sitting on his outside. I thought that might give Camino Rocoso the 1-1.
Yeah.
And he's sort of one of those horses we've knocked at times just because he hasn't really followed through the line. But he's changed his mindset clearly, and he's starting to put in quite honestly. So from a 1-1 position, I think he's in the mix. And I thought Bellacourt in the real shuffle up, maybe three back on the fence, and from there, if it puts up a performance like this start, 2 starts ago at Ellerslie over the 1,400 metres, it's well capable of taking out a race like this. This is pretty dominant this day, BP, and it has done this at times, but albeit mixes its form in the same breath.
Yeah, obviously beaten in the Westbury Classic last time after winning this race. How about that? Just got in an awkward spot in this race and was doing his best work coming into the race late, copped a bit of a check, so I just thought that was the reason I was thinking that they might be try and be positive with him this afternoon with his better gate. So, yeah, I thought he was a bet in the race, potentially. How about that? What about for you?
Well, I went with the 2 because if he returns to his best form, and there was just hints, it was like a consensus going to Trentham. There was just enough of a hint at that prior run that the horse was returning to form that I'd take him a little bit on trust. I put him on top. I thought Bellacourt from that 3 back on the rail position should be able to get a run into it. How About Dat is in for 3rd. And look, don't doubt Starry Beal. I know it's back to the 1,600 metres, but gee, this horse can ping, as we saw at Awapuni. It's got an electric turn of foot. If they run it strongly, which is pretty doubtful, you may see this horse flashing at them late, but good enough, even in this field, to run a pretty good mile with a slight freshen up.
Yep, 82 mile, that race, Jason. Race number 2 in Demonetisation will start as the favourite.
Race number 3 is the SVS Hamilton Premier, and this is how the market stacks up for it. 370 for Lucetta, 550 Hoist, the Boy Wonder with Effervescent, both at 7. Nearer the bottom, actually, Miss Rippy is at $6. She's a daughter of Rip Van Winkle. Matthew Cameron rides for Stephen Marsh. I didn't find this the most straightforward 65, Stephen Hunt. I'm hoping that you can shed some light with some money moves.
Try my best, Jace, but there's been a spread of money on the notable 4 or 5 runners here, including the favourite Lucetta, the 4-year-old mare by Zavabiel, $3.70. There is potential it could climb from that 3.7 throughout the afternoon around Lucetta, who has cost punters in its last 2 or 3 starts when it's been backed into the top 2 or 3 in market, including when it went out favourite last start, Lucetta. So there is a little bit of reservations around the her price at $3.70, but well supported in front of Hoist at $5.50. This will be Michael Rod's first ride today at Te Rapa around Hoist, who hasn't won since 2016, but gee, on the quick backup, it had no luck last start at New Plymouth, and I think it's a big show at 5.5 personally. Miss Rippy in that third line at betting at $6. Now, Effervescent holds 4 times more money than Miss Rippy, and they are the stablemate. Stephen Marsh does the training there. Effervescent at $7. That is its opening line, but we do have a $1,000 bet on Effervescent this morning. Troy Harris does the riding. Big day for Troy, including Melody Bell in the feature. And a little bit of speaking around Rusty in Melbourne as well. It's $10. When this stable, the Lynn stable, head to Te Rapa, they can be a bit of a betting plunge, and there is a bit of speaking at double-figure odds. So there's 4 or 5 that they're speaking in a very competitive race. Yeah,
Troy Harris able to ride Melody Bell and others today because he's operating under a stay of proceedings regarding a suspension that was incurred last Wednesday. Ming's Emperor, one of the leaders, speechmaker, Hoist the Midnight Shift fail and also pursued just behind Ming's Emperor. Okay, BP, over to you and Bevan to sort this one out.
Yeah, niggly race, isn't it? Race number 3. A host of chances. Hoist as a player in the race has looked good maybe in recent starts to go better over more distance here today, over 2,100 metres, but yeah, a tricky one.
Yeah, look, I thought there was a bet in this race in the Boy Wonder. When I went back through its form lines, it just stood out to me as having gone around in the stronger races than most of this particular field, and I really think that Red Cayenne race out of Trentham is going to stick out quite nicely. We saw Salsify go down a very short margin yesterday coming out of that race and being unlucky, and there's other runners in behind Red Cayenne who are really going to win some races at short notice, and you go back through its form and it was only half a length off Starry Beale here at Te Rapa. So those form lines just made me think, well, $8, it's an each way investment for me, so I'm going to put it on top. Lucetta, well, this is the sort of horse that you have to watch a couple of races and see what's happening in the run, because she gets well back in her races. If they are pinging off the front, whether she can get home from where she poses up in the run, which is going to be well back in this field, is questionable, but she does have the ability to win for sure. Got a bit of time for Rusty in Melbourne today. Just got a feeling, a little niggle. Jeff is travelling and the right man aboard, and that's his sort of race. And then look, Hoist was put into that race at New Plymouth very early in the run. It had to be pretty brave to sort of hang in there. So it wouldn't be a surprise on the quick backup if Hoist can run a race.
Yep. Yeah, as I said, Jason, a sticky sort of race. Maybe at value, it's sort of an each-way bet. I thought maybe Fio. I don't like backing horses that have won maidens and going straight into 65 grade. He's around 12s and 3s. I was happy to sort of be playing a sort of a 1/2 type of bet around that runner in the third of the day.
Yeah, that's good information there, and good information also from Stephen Hunt about the Marsh trained Effervescent. Race number 4 is the Cambridge Stud Sir Tristram Fillies Classic Group 2 race for the fillies. Queen of Diamonds at $3, $4.80 Secret Allure, Imelda Mary $5.50. Stephen, you've spoken about Queen of Diamonds and the volume of money for her. Has much changed since you discussed that an hour ago? Any specking for the 2 and the 4 horses?
Not really, Jason. It seems to be all about one horse, and that is number 3, Queen of Diamonds, which I mentioned at the top of the show. And I think from barrier 13, the weight of money I'm seeing, it will definitely be a go-forward horse. Maddie Cameron will look to go forward on her over 2,000 metres. $3. She holds 50% of total turnover, Jason. So there is a big chance she could even short him from the current trade of $3 off a peak of $4, Queen of Diamonds. In front of Secret Allure, who is the second best back runner, $5 into $4.80. Notable drifter around Imelda Mary, who goes back over 2,000 metres, which she won at that distance in the Royal Stakes over the Christmas New Year period at HQ, $4.50 out to $5.50. The Real Beal, $8.50, no 201 odds around this individual today, Jason, but currently well supported in that 4th line of betting. And if there was a two or three, they're speaking at longer odds, Nerve Not Verve at $13. Also a little bit of speaking around Star Karen at 19 and Standing Ovation at 31, maybe one to put into your minors. But all in all, it's one-way traffic, number 3 in the first of our features, Queen of Diamonds.
Just want to talk just briefly before the speed map about the Real Beal. What debate did you have to find her price, given her performance measured up against market expectation last time when she was 200 to 1?
Yeah, very difficult. Good question, Jason. Very difficult to assess her price. And at $8, funny enough, we had 3 or 4 prices into this particular race and we weren't far off the mark across the board around her price. So it wasn't difficult coming up with her line, but our conversation going forward in terms of a trading prospect was we're willing to move with the money around her because, like you say, at 200 to 1, finishing second in one of the hottest 3-year-old races that we've had this season, we had to go with the flow of this individual. And at this stage, she probably sits about right in that fourth line of betting in terms of money, the fourth best back runner, the real deal. But it's fascinating to see how she goes, if she can back up that performance from a few weeks ago.
Yeah, certainly Jim Pender was very specific with his instructions to Samantha Collett for the Karaka Million 3-year-old, and Samantha executed them perfectly, and the race shape panned out for her. Will that be the same today over 2,000 metres? This is the Form Pro Speed Map, where it's not easy to find a leader. We expect Brendan Popple, the Queen of Diamonds, will be ridden positively from that draw. What shakes up in behind, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part of this race. I mean, you can break this race down and first of all look at that race that you're talking about there with the Real Bill, who did run into second position in the 3-year-old Karaka Classic, and that form looks like to be the best form for the race, doesn't it, Bevan, with Imelda Mary, who was beating that race. Obviously the way that Queen of Diamonds was able to finish off in that particular race as well. So I sort of went to that race as the first form reference and first sort of form read. Queen of Diamonds well specced outside barrage, and you do believe they'll be positive from that barrage?
Well, if they're going to be positive, the rest of the jockeys need to be on their games. They should be working this horse and working it really hard to get a position, because you don't want to just let this horse get across and sit outside the leader, because if they do, it'll be game, set and match. So from a speed map perspective, I thought it was tough for Queen of Diamonds. I think she is the best horse in the race, but whether she can win from out there was the question mark. And I've sort of gone with my speed map rather than how I sort of rate them ability-wise, because we've got our senior bunch of hoops here, and this horse is drawing the outside as favourite. So if they allow this horse to get across and get one off, they may not have an option. It may just be quick enough away from the gates that they can't push up inside and not allow it to get across, but they should be thinking that for sure. So they should be working Queen of Diamonds. So it is difficult, but I do think she's the best horse in this particular race. He's Secret Alert. Now, she's going to get a very similar sort of run to this day, isn't she? She's going to be back towards the inside. Now, it was favoured. There's no doubt about that. The piece of running she comes down is pretty quick across all 3 days at the carnival. But look, she went down to the Guineas at Riccarton and performed. She's been up to Auckland and performed. She's just a little bit forgotten at times. And Jacobon went a great race from a terrible gate at New Plymouth the other day. So the form's pretty rock solid around that particular horse. She's hard to go past Queen of Diamonds, but Imelda Mary must get the best run in the race from that particular gate. I feel as though she's going to get into a position 3 back, 1 off. And look, her runs have been very, very good as well. So I'm going to put her over Queen of Diamonds, but Queen of Diamonds, I feel, going forward would be the one you want to be following. Secret Allure, the obvious as well. Sauvignon Blanc has been going nice enough, and I thought it had an opportunity to really take up a forward position from that gate and probably put itself in the mix.
And Imelda Mary and Secret Allure have run the 2,000 metres. That was in the Royal Stakes, which some of these fillies are question marks about going the distance.
I don't think I'm pretty sure Queen of Diamonds will get it pretty easily. It's just where she ends up in the run. Look, as I said, they may not have the opportunity to work it. She may be too quick away from the gates and get across and sit outside the lead. If that is what unfolds after 200 metres, you'll be pretty happy to be on.
Yeah, I like Queen of Diamonds today, Jason. If there is a little specky in the race, near the bottom of the book, Nerve Not Verve, went a super race behind Sword and Stone when last presented to the races. Sword and Stone is well found in the Waikato Guineas market. This horse looks like will stay all day. I'm certainly happy to have that in my combos today.
Yeah, really interesting chat from you and Bevan, the points that you both make about Queen of Diamonds and the draw. That's the Cambridge Stud Sir Tristram Fillies Classic previewed. Race 4 of 9 on a Group 1 program at Te Rapa. Race 5 is for the 3-year-old males, the Warren Storm Life Brokers, Waikato Guineas, where the chosen one is 440, that's drifted. Lincoln Falls is 5 Arrogant, 750 Sword and Stone. Now, just looking at this price, Stephen Hunter, that says that you're reacting to dollars.
Absolutely, Jason. Best lead, best go in the Waikato Guineas 2019 edition, around number 9, Sword and Stone, after a very impressive win by the son of Redwood at HQ a few weeks back. $6 top fluck into $4.60, was as short as 4.8 this morning when we opened. The money continues to flow. A number of 4-figure bets, including a $1,500 bet at $5.50 during the week on Sword and Stone. He's a $12 chance to take out the Derby in a few weeks' time around Sword and Stone. I think he sits in 3rd or 4th line of betting with the scratching of Madison County this morning. The chosen one, plenty specking against individual, 14 up to 2,000 metres, but notably comes out of the Baker Forsman stable. $4 out to $4.40. Lincoln Falls, well supported at $5, but again, potential that could drift. Arrogant, $8.50 and a $7.50, so a little bit of a spec there in the middle market around Arrogant, who had no luck in the Levin Classic a few weeks back at Trentham. And Monkey Shoulder, good old Monkey Shoulder. Gee, we've almost got a picture of this individual up in our office, Jason, the weight of money that has flowed on this individual, and it's been beaten throughout its first 2 or 3 starts to date. A maidener up against race winners. This is D-Day for this individual. Currently a losing result off a peak of 17 over 2,000 metres for a horse that has been spruiked in the Derby and futures market. So all in all, that's the one that they've spec'd at longer odds once again, Monkey Shoulder. But the best bet runner is clearly number 9 in Sword and Stone.
I've seen that wall. It's the wall that you send bags of Christmas carrots to for those that play for you as opposed to against you. It's a very, very big wall, that wall, unfortunately. Okay, this is the market, rather the map for the Waikato Guineas. Langkawi, the chosen one, and Lincoln Sky, potential go-forward horses. Forget the gags, BP. Let's talk about the racing.
Yeah, Bevan, we'll talk about the speed map first of all, and Langkawi's drawn out, and the chosen one is horses who can likely find a position. Lincoln Sky, they've gone for this race here this afternoon as well, and Lincoln Falls, a runner I'm interested to get your opinion on as well for today's race. How do you sort of line the race up?
Well, I'll start. Monkey Shoulder might be in the photo sort of layout at the racing desk, but it's on my dartboard. Well, it has been on a couple of occasions after a couple of performances.
If you've been on, you'll get your money back though today at 15.
Well, he certainly can run top 3. This is at Trentham in a very strong race, and gee, there were some runs in this particular race. Of course, we see the winner come out. That's Lincoln Falls out wide, Medicine County about to come through them. There's all sorts of runs to really be looking at them. Arrogant's unlucky and behind them. Lincoln Falls has made a long run. You've got more wonder out wide. So it's a great form race. I think the first half a dozen went fantastically in the race. He just can't cop a draw, Lincoln Falls.
No.
Every time he's come to the races, he's drawn 11. The blinkers go on him today for the first time. Being by Dundee, you think he'll get the trip, but his map's a nightmare for me as to where he's going to end up. You know, I've had a discussion with Jonathan. He said, do I go forward? And I simply said, I don't know. I really don't know. It's going to be completely up to him. He thinks he can get a position forward on him, then go forward. But, yeah, I'm not sure. This is Sword and Stone now, a very good judge. The one I respect the most when it comes to these young horses coming through. One T. Lee, just off the cuff yesterday, mentioned this horse to me, so I went home and reviewed its races, looked at its sectionals, looked at what it did on debut, and
it's pretty good.
Pretty hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to ignore on those 2 starts. Now, he's going up against a couple of horses that have been in a dogfight or 2, but that's pretty exceptional what that horse did there, so I can understand the money coming in. I thought $6 is probably a price you could have a look at. It's disappeared now clearly, but I'm going to have him on top.
Yeah, same actually. I really do like the horse. What about the chosen one? Now, this is a runner who has won at listed level. The Zaginto Stakes over 1,600 metres. We'll take you back to his last placing, which was back at Pukekohe Park on the 25th of January, where he was working home behind Tiger Silk.
Well, he's got a bit of gate speed, hasn't he? So in my map, I had Lincoln Sky forward, maybe Mighty kind of going forward as well. That maybe post Langkawi, he was going to put a bit more speed into it. And the chosen one, if it wants to go forward, probably can come across on the back of Langkawi. And if Langkawi can get across to the leading position, it may be up to sit outside the leader. Now, it's called the chosen one for a reason. That's how highly they think of this particular horse, the ownership team, a colt by Savabeel. And he just looked to me as though he was going to develop strongly out of the trip down south. So a couple of runs in, he's probably primed to go 2,000 metres this afternoon. It may have to work a little bit hard in the run. I have it in the mix for sure, but I went with the 9 on top. Look, I think Lincoln Falls will go one of 2 ways clearly with the blinkers today. He may get up on the steel and over racing, but it might also in the same breath sharpen his mind and just get that extra length and a half out of a horse who's just been developing nicely. I'm just not sure whether they go forward or back with him. Look, I like the run of Arrogant. Certainly there's a lot to like about that, and the chosen one in 4th, but sort of got my fingers across that we see an emerging superstar today in the 9 in the book who's just done everything right.
Yep, it's the first time this race has been on this day, the Waikato Guineas, and I'm with Sword and Stone as well, the son of Redwood, who impressed at Ellerslie last time to the races, Jason, and Michael Rod doing the riding for Lauren Brennan.
I was waiting for something profound from Bevan Sweeney when he set up to say that Jonathan Parks came to him asking about tactics for Lincoln Falls. I did not expect the leave from. I did not expect the leave.
Well, Jace, I just simply didn't know. Because with the blinkers on, if you boot him out of the gates and he gets over racing, then you probably, when you're looking towards a derby, you don't want to sort of blow the mind with a horse who's been a little bit raw as it is. So,
Yeah.
but then you're at Rapa, so I don't know if there's a lot of point to go back and sit last and think you can run across the top of them when you've got some pretty sort of smart horses in front. So I asked Lisa as well, and she said, well, Jonathan's aboard, so we'll leave it up to him. So we're both giving you the swerve.
Well, it is a genuine dilemma, because the point that you make about the Derby being the ultimate goal, the Vodafone New Zealand Derby, significantly richer than the Waikato Guineas, to get a horse right for that, to race right for that, is most significant. And that's often the dilemma about these 3-year-old races. Races 4 and 5 for the fillies and for the colts and geldings is that very fact. Racing and teaching a horse to get an Oaks trip or a Derby trip is the major goal for most of these runners, as opposed to maybe giving them a gut buster and having a campaign fall apart today. Now's not the day where you want a campaign to fall apart. Anyway, we'll move on and have a look at the market for the next on the program, which is the 6th, the Risk Management Group Premier. Rondinella is the 270 favourite over Sacred Day. Vinnie Colgan will now ride Rondinella. Michael Rod has picked up the ride on Sacred Day. Is Sacred Day the horse that's attracted support here, Stephen?
Absolutely, Jason. Look, overall, they've targeted the 2 4-year-olds here, 2 auspicious types with staying credentials going forward in Sacred Day and Rondinella. Rondinella 260 out to $2.17. You see a slight shift inwards on number 5, Sacred Day, $3.20 into $3. They turn over around about 90% of total take thus far in race 6, Rondinella and Sacred Day, though just breaking down the 2 individual runners, Sacred Day holds 2 times more money than Rondinella, so I'm not convinced Rondinella will start fave. There might not be too much between them. As it stands, 270 plays $3. Chasu Bao in that third line of Benny has been friendless, Jason, 550 out to 6. A little bit of specking around Very Flash, who's looking to progress towards an Auckland Cup, 26 into 21, but overall they're pretty keen on the 2 favourites here.
Form Pro and Form Pro rating speed map looks like this. Bully Boy, the leader, and I suppose that seems most obvious here, Brendan Popple, that Bully Boy will set the tempo. Just how fast is the question?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the one that's going to be able to set it all up, and it's going to be down to A, Rondinella, or B, Sacred Day, chasing that horse down. You would imagine, Bevan, I mean, the way that Sacred Day went in the Karaka Cup in a race where he was at the back of the field, slowly ran his peeled off, a nice closing section on Rondinella, looked good first time over distance.
Yeah, well, there's 2 scenarios here. Bully Boy walks him and it becomes very difficult for Sacred Day, or mental telepathy, having been over a couple of miles, may want to make this a real staying test, so may push forward and make them work a bit, maybe sit outside the lead with Matty Cameron for the Baker and Forsman team. If they walk, it's very hard for Sacred Day, so Rondinella becomes the real obvious. They may send Sacred Day at the 600 metres though, because he's got a long sustained sprint, so they may put him in the race a long time before you may have expected. So if they do that, he's pretty talented. I just thought Rondinella gets the soft run in behind them, has got a good turn of foot and should be able to give Sacred Day everything it wants, but I thought it was a 2-horse race, 7 and 5, and they were the 2 I just settled on to be winning this particular race. I think they're both backable.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, one's at 3s, one's at 270. I'm pretty keen to try and end some multis on either of these 2 runners winning race number 6, to be honest, Jason.
Herbie Dyke Sprint, the first, the Herbie Dyke Stakes rather, the first of the Group 1s, and it won't see Lizzie Lamore line up, and it won't see Madison County. Madison County has been withdrawn pending settlement for sale to Hong Kong. That leaves Dance Dance as the dominating favourite at 145. And as you spoke of earlier, Stephen Hunter, a little flip-flop in prices between Windspell and Charles Road.
Yeah, bang on, Jace, around Windspell and Charles Road. Windspell opened at $11, now $6.50, second favourite, where Charles Road opened $9, just in $1.8. So that represents Windspell holding around about 2 times more money than Charles Road, but all in all, Dance holds 4 times more money than Windspell and clearly looks the horse to beat at $1.45. It's going to be a multi-special around the 4-year-old mare. She looks to go 3 Group 1s on the bounce, and just going back a little bit in history around her shortest price at $1.45 when it comes to Group 1s. Extravagant was a beaten $1.30 pop in a Live-In Classic back in 2016, Jason. Then you just go back recent times. Dance closed $1.80 in her victory in the Zabeel Classic last start, and also Ginger Nuts was $1.80 beaten fave in the Livermore Classic in 2017 from memory. So it can happen, these short price favourites in Group 1s. I don't think it will get down to $1.30 where Extravagant did Dance today, but she looks awfully hard to beat, and she's going to be a multi-special. Currently, there's around about 1,200 multis running through her. That will climb to 2,000 plus.
Don't like you being the voice of reason like that and bringing up past horror shows, Stephen Hunt. That's not nice. Let's go and have a look at the speed map. But you make a good point. Every runner has its price. It is racing. There are no certainties. We can trot out those cliches as well. Centimillion, though, looks the leader. Tiptronic can roll along the inside and maybe hold a spot just where Dance settles. Will be up to Michael Rodder. I'm hoping that it's in the first 4. What are you thinking, Brendan Popwell?
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping the same as well, Jason. Look, we all know that Saint Emilian's a horse who's best when he's in front and up against the rail, and as that Matt pointed out there, Tiptronic has an opportunity anyway with being that barrier draw 1 of taking a spot in behind the speed. Look, Saint Emilian, he wasn't at his best last week, Bevan, of course, in a weaker race to today, but we know that when he's in front, he can be a hard horse to get past, as he showed when he did win the Bone Crusher last year.
Yeah, he's the sort of horse that they've woken up to a lot in recent times, that you can't just let him click along at the 600 metres and quicken up the tempo, because he doesn't lie down when he gets that opportunity for a very soft first part of the race, and then from the 6 he can quicken up. But this is the sort of race you come to the form and you look at the horses that Dance has beaten. Can you see them turning it around? You say, well, you can't see it being changed, and you think Madison County's the fresh horse on the scene. Well, he's out. And then you're left with like a Charles Road coming into this race, a Belle de Nord. You think, can they beat to Dance? Possibly Charles Road at absolute top would be a challenger. Is the track the only thing that beats her? If it gets very, very firm this afternoon, that's the only niggle I can see for her. But she's dead set flying, isn't she? She's the benchmark at the present moment. She's put away 2 pretty strong sort of fields by an absolute margin. This is Charles Road. He has been very, very good, hasn't he, in this particular race as a lead into a 2,000 metre event. But this isn't the big dance of this horse's preparation in the same breath. So he'll go around with some good support on him.
He might be just doing that again.
Yeah, he'll be flashing.
You know?
I think he'll definitely be flashing. Look, if the track is running on speed, there may be an opportunity if Dance gets back. I didn't quite hear her in the first 4, but she'll be in the mix early for sure from that particular draw. Here is the race at Trentham with On the Rocks, Tiptronic, Dark Princess, Windspell and Belle de Nord. Windspell back to 2,000 metres for the second time this afternoon. Has been going very, very nicely. And
won a Guineas here.
Yeah, and Shadows Cast was very good this day after sitting on speed, so maybe that's the big improver into the race, but I just couldn't get away from the 7. I think she'll be winning unless something horrifically goes wrong. She's very, very good, the 7. Windspell is in for second. Outside of that, obviously Madison County comes out. So look, I wondered about Dark Princess. She's a bit of a dark horse in this type of race. If you're going to find one a little bit of odds, she raced really nicely in most recent start in very good company, and her prior form have been very, very good, and she may be more progressive than we think, but I've got a gut feeling it's no horror show today.
Yeah, I think it feels one horse on the rocks. Now, we saw this horse win the Ritual Mile and was disappointing there at Trentham. I mean, there was, obviously a big difference in the weights. This horse did, as a 3-year-old, beat Dance in an Avondale Guinea, so more distance this afternoon. Are we, with a decent draw, could he be some sort of player in the race?
Well, the question is, do you think weight for age is going to suit a horse of his shape and size? He's not overly big. He gets up to 59 kilos, was in with 57, and the set weights and penalties up to 59. Look, he's a good quality horse. 59 may just be a little bit too much for him at this stage.
Yep. Jason, pass it back to you. The Herbie Dyke Stakes is going to be awfully hard to try and bet against. Dance, and hence why we're looking at a quote of $1.45.
Yeah, hopefully a hat-trick of Group 1 wins for those that back her. Obviously, there are others in the race that will be hoping for Group 1 success themselves. All the best with whoever you choose to back for the Herbie Dyke Stakes. The BCD Group Sprint at Group 1 level features Melody Bell and Volpe Veloce, both hoping to add to their Group 1 resumes. Adrossin hoping to win his first, and High Flyer hoping to win his first at $6.50. The bringer of joy or the voice of reason? Stephen Hunt, what's the market telling you?
The punters have identified the 2 favourites here in betting Melody Bell v Volpe Veloce, $2.90, $3.70. Volpe Veloce just come in a fraction off a $4 peak. Melody Bell remains the opening line, $2.90, and they gather around about 80% of total turnover, and which market is very, very solid since betting commenced on Wednesday, running the book at 119%. Drossen, $5.50 into 5. That was well supported during the week. I think it's held its price now at $5. There's a chance, with the money continuing to flow around Melody Bell and Volpe Veloce, that Drossen could be a drifter later on this afternoon. High Flyer, notable drifter here, Jason, $5.50 out to 6.5. Clearly a winning result for us here in Petone. Bostonian Magnum went out 13 each of 2. Bostonian out to 16s, Magnum out to $18. True Excelsior 18 out to 21 for a horse Aussie Raider that was well specced in the Telegraph a few weeks ago, but no money invested here. Stratocaster 31 out to 35. Watch this space 35 out to 41. And you go for Scolo, Jason. 71 into 51, currently a losing result for the gun 3-year-old a few years back. But you go for Scolo, currently at 51, our biggest liability in this particular race. But once Multi's run through, he will be a winning result later on this afternoon. But back to the 2 faves, that's the only 2 that punters want in the other Group 1 today.
I'm assuming you go for Scolo holds top spot on that wall. I think he's got a crown, hasn't he? He like heads that wall. He's right up the top there. Am I right?
Yeah, he's got a gold border around his photo, Jace, clearly.
I think it's called lifetime membership. Anyway, let's look at the map. He does look one of the leaders in the race. Jason Waddell, when we spoke with him earlier, suggested that he would have preferred him not to be in the race because of the fact that he rolls along and can get quite keen. Waddell will want to go forward in a Drossen. That's what he said. Quite how forward he will be will depend on who kicks up underneath him. Melody Bell and Troy Harris, Magnum and Michael Rodd. He does have a lot of speed though with Drossen, so he might be able to sit outside of Ugo Viscolo, or maybe if Ugo Viscolo misses it, and he can, he could find that lead. Brendan Popwell, that seems to be sort of the key to the race, the first couple of 100 metres.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, with Ugo Fiscolo in the race, look, we know that he's a horse who puts himself there, and Drossen does jump so well. I mean, Melody Bell, great opportunity to get back in the winner's circle today with a bit of barrier draw. There's no discounting that. It's just so hard to back a horse who was beaten 11 lengths last time to the races, but then we keep coming back to what she showed us in the spring. She is a 3-time Group 1 winner, and that's why she is the favourite at $2.90 in front of Volpe Veloce.
Well, you're either in or out on her, aren't you? You either say, she went that poorly at Trentham, I'm out, or I'm just going to back what she did through the Hawke's Bay Carnival and say I'm in. Because if you're out, $2.90 is one heck of a price on her. That is so much value if you believe. And Jamie's been on, and we've had other reports from him. He thinks he can find nothing wrong. They've been over and over, and they've got no reason. So maybe it was just that draw and the way that Trentham track played inside throughout the carnival. They just couldn't make up any ground. Here is that particular performance. But look, she was off the steel before here. She went across the crossing and she was being niggled at. She really found nothing, and the horses up the inside are the ones that really found strongly. Bostonian is pretty good in the race as well, but you're either in or out. I'll tell you one thing though, although there's money for Ugo Fiscolo, you wouldn't want to be on Ugo Fiscolo's back as they turn in.
Yeah.
If the bobble pops,
yeah,
then you're in a lot of strife, because if you're in a pocket then you're going backwards and rather than getting out and getting a clear run. So I'm not sure how that Troy's going to want to be getting in behind Ugo Fiscolo, probably trying to find a position 1 off and allow something to slide up his inside. I never understand the money on Ugo, to be fair, but, you know, maybe you'll get
Past
lucky.
glory.
Well,
yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me on what we're saying. Maybe there's a secret that we don't know about that's going to see him return to his very best, but look, if she's won 100% and you've got to trust in the team and the reports they've had, then I think $2.90 is a great value price for you.
All right, Volpe Veloce, a horse who won the Westbury Classic, and geez, yet to be dynamic to win this race, Bevan, because Sleeping Beauty's gone massive, backed up the railway run, and it took the length of the straight to be able to grab Sleeping Beauty. She did exactly that. We know that she is a Group 1 winner in a railway from last year. She's in that right sort of form where she can pick up another Group 1.
I think she's the match with Melody Bell on the 2 runs we've seen this preparation. Better probably in the railway. This is an exceptional sectional home, and the way she just pins her ears back. She's got a real will to win this. She's pretty tough around the stables, I understand. A couple of times I've been out and shot a little story with her. She's tried to take a chunk of me home with her. So she's got a bit of attitude, and that was all attitude that won, because she was in a lot of trouble. If there is one doubt, she won a pretty soft sort of race here and then has been beaten on a couple of occasions, so maybe Te Rapa doesn't suit her completely down to the ground, but her form this preparation is a match to Melody Bell. So, there's two reasonable sort of prices if you want to look at both of them.
Yep, she's a true winner. She's won 11 races as Volpe Veloce. How do we line up High Flyer today, Bevan?
Well, 1,200 metres, he's probably in the same boat. He's not quick away over 1,200 metres. I don't think that's really his go, so he got back in behind them, and he was okay. He gets every chance today. He gets everything in his favour. He's going to have good, strong speed in front of him to get a nice soft sit behind him. I think his perfect scenario is strong tempo, soft sit, one split, and he's got that very, very quick turn of foot. I don't think he's out of it, but he didn't fill me full of enthusiasm at Trentham, but he went better than Melody Bell.
Yeah, true. He did. All right, well, let's talk about a horse who's unbeaten in this country, and that's Ardrossan. Now, he was having to overcome an outside gate at Ellerslie when he did win the Concord. Look, I know it's a different race again today, but he keeps stepping up to the mark, and he was exceptional here on this occasion. He's going to have to be as good again to win this afternoon at the Group 1.
This is a real acid test, isn't it, for him, coming back. They've obviously had their issues. They've had a lot of experts have worked hard on him to get him back to where he is. I think he will get up outside Ugo Fiscola. I think without a shadow of doubt that's the position he will take up. He ran 1:10 at Ellerslie, has been here and won 1 from 1, so he's had experience this way of going. He's got the right pattern of racing to be right in the mix, and clearly before he went to Australia he showed us that he was a very, very talented horse, and he seems to return to that form. It's a big acid test, but you'd be surprised if he isn't there for a long way.
All right, so Melody Bell, what were we chasing at Trentham? $1 or $2.50. We've seen some short quotes around her leading into that Telegraph. Today, a chance to back her at $2.90. Are you in?
Yes. Yeah, I have to be in because I'm just going to rate this race on how I believe their true ability sits. And trust the man who trains this horse because he has been exceptional through his training career and this season. So I'm in with her. Volpe Veloce, I think will give her a lot to think about on the way she has been going. I think High Flyer from that draw today, everything is in his favour with the way this race should pan out. So if he's not right in the mix, I'll be very disappointed. And yeah, I'm going to go with the other offers. Drossen will put himself there. He's got a bit of X factor, so I'm not far away from the norms in this particular race.
Yep. I'm the same as you actually, Bevan. I'm with Melody Bell this afternoon in front of Volpe Veloce, and yeah, my interest will certainly be around watching Ardrossan step up to that Group 1 level with what he's done so far in his 2 return wins, and especially off the back of that exceptional Concord win at Ellerslie. Jason?
Yeah, we spoke of the map being key, but ultimately it is what Melody Bell turns up, and even if she does turn up at her best, could Volpe Veloce roll over the top, or could it be the day for High Flyer or the Colt, the Drossen, the Stallion prospect? Okay, race number 9, the Breeze, 99.4 FM Premier, where Tightline is $3.30, and is this a horse that's attracted good support, Stephen Hunt?
Absolutely, Jason. It was a photo finish. Who would be the best bet run at the top of the show between Queen of Diamonds and number 2 here in the last, Tightline, who was very impressive, winning at rating 65 level last start, and those ratings suggest it can win at 72 level over the 1400 metres, according to Punters. $4.80 top fluck, got as short as 3.6 this morning, but the money has continued to flow for the son of a line, now $3.30, and hopefully, in the punters' sake, we'll be finishing off a lot of multis. Tightline number 4-figure bets, best being 1,200 at 4.8 during the week. Damazora in that second line of betting $6, going to keep this individual for us, hopefully, to beat Tightline. A little bit of specking around Giant Gem and Grand Mason, and Ribera, the 3-year-old filly, resuming against the older horses, Jace. Not a bean thus far on her. Maybe wait till she gets to 1,600 metres, second, third up this preparation.
Yeah, that is revealing about Ribera, and spoke with Andrew Forsman, and he just wanted at this stage of this preparation just a little bit of rain for Ribera, so you'd be inclined to just step back from her as a betting proposition today. Moriox, Signon and Bravissimo are the horses that Form Pro Brendan Popp will have going forward.
Yep, I really like Tightline. I think this is a horse who's can keep going through the grades. Really impressed with how this horse picked them up and won around Tauranga. Good draw, and not really surprised that there has been a move for this runner from that opening quote of $4.80. What do you like, Bevan?
Love this horse. It's in my strategy, I think, with the speed in this race, and I think this is one that they're really going to run strongly. It's just going to posse up in a nice position on the rail. It may need a little bit of luck to get the right split, but yeah, I thought 480 early was outstanding for this particular horse. Matt Cameron in the saddle, I think everything I like comes into the form lines around this particular horse. Outside of that, I didn't think Dama Zorro's going badly enough to not be giving a little bit of form respect at a decent sort of price. And where else do we look? Well, I had Rubera, but Jace just informed me I'm off, so it's in, but it's out.
Yeah. All right, what about a strategy for today?
I'm just going to not do anything too out of the square. I'm going to anchor Dance in a multi. So she's an anchor in a 3-leg multi. Just wanted her in, really. $1.45 is not really going to make the multiple that big, but I just wanted to put her in. So I'm going to go Sword and Stone and race 5 into tight line in the last. My best is clearly Dance and value Sword and Stone, although that has clearly disappeared this morning.
So is that like a $100?
Yeah, $100. So
we'll
anchored. Yeah, right? We'll anchor it. So
yeah,
and we'll take the other two at a bit of value.
All right. Aidan, out on the catwalk.
Well, guys, just getting ready, of course, Fashions Day as well. But yeah, I'm going demonetisation, 30 a win in race 2, Sacred Day in race 6, 30 a win, and 20 a win on tight line in the last, and then multiing up those 3 horses along with Dance for a win. I'm putting Sacred Day and tight line in for the place. If I miss out on the Fashions in the field, maybe I can do a Frankie Dettori dismount. What do you reckon?
Wow, I'm really just trying to work out to erase that from my memory, what I've just seen there out on the catwalk. Yeah. Right, let's get down to business and try and find some winners. I'm going to go for my best bet in Queen of Diamonds in the Cambridge State Tristram Fillies Classic. I like Fio as an each-way prospect in race number 3. I thought the horse won nicely in maiden grades. It's going to be a step up to the 65 stayers race. I have something on How About That in race number 2 each way, and each way on Fio in race number 3, Queen of Diamonds to win. And then we'll take a strategy bet, which will be a $30 win, multi with Queen of Diamonds, Sword and Stone, and also Tight Line. Well, that's a wrap on all things here around the Punters Lounge for the 9 races on Legends Day. Jason, horses are parading behind us. We'll catch up with some key individuals leading into the first of the day, as we're not too far away from getting our racing action off.